Dang, making me work today. I see ya. All mental games. All right.
Dude, you're gonna be real, dude.
That's right. Hey, man.
You're gonna be real more than a receiver.
I have been. Trust me.
I just wanna take this in.
Based on my assets and skill sets, I'd say I'm definitely a dual threat quarterback. I can, stand strong in the pocket and stand there and deliver the ball if I have to. Or, if something breaks down or if my reads aren't there, I have the capability to get outside the pocket and make plays with my feet.
Okay, so obviously you broke several records in the Missouri Valley Conference in just 2 years, when typically quarterbacks, it would take them 3, sometimes 4, but typically 3 years. Not many freshmen come and start right away. What do you think contributed to the fact that you were able to accomplish so much in just 2 years?
I think the biggest factor that led to me, breaking a lot of school records and even conference records was just a mindset, going out on the field, and it's just the toughness inside of you, and taking hits and just getting right back up, and next play mentality, and just great coaching, have a good group of guys behind me, and they just made it easy on me.
What amount of influence would you say Coach Hill has placed on your college career?
I'd say if it were on a scale of 1 to 10, Coach Hill definitely, was even above and beyond a 10, just because, just the fact that he taught me the game and he taught me to be a man. Taking a third string from Eastern Michigan, a transfer, have to learn a new system and everything like that. The amount of time and effort he put into me is, something that I definitely won't take for granted, and something that I look at as, he really had a huge impact on my life, and I can't thank him enough for it. I think there's 2 things that separate me from the average quarterback. Number 1 being my toughness. It's all a mentality, and our offense after the first couple of games, they use me as our short yardage back. Any 3rd and 1 to 2, any 4th down and 1 yard, I'm getting that yard. I'm getting the first down. I believed it, and my coaches believed it. If I'm taking big hits, I pop right back up. It doesn't take a toll on me mentally. I have that next play mentality. It doesn't linger around, and I don't get affected by it during a game. And then the next thing that separates me from other quarterbacks is the mental aspect of the game. I've always had really great study habits. I graduated college with a 3.85 GPA. So just the ability to study the game and learn from mistakes, and just kind of take a back seat to my coaches and learn from their experiences, learn what they have to say. I like the crowds, and being a business marketing major, I'm a people person. I love getting out in the community and just getting people excited about our games. They're giving up their Saturdays and Sundays to come out and see us play, and just having a chance to give back and get to know them on a personal level, and they're coming out to watch us, get the whole town excited, and nothing sways the momentum of a college game more than having the crowd behind you and having the whole community behind you at the games. I'd say my biggest inspiration, even throughout my entire life, has always been my older brother. He just set the tone for me in high school, and really just paved the way, and I've just been following his footsteps ever since. Having a role model like that to look up with, where he has his dream, he wants to play football at the next level, and it didn't work out in college, but he keeps sticking on that dream. He keeps fighting for it, and that's something I've always looked up to. And him and I have always been very competitive, and that played a huge role of who I am today, and the kind of competitor I am on the field. So I'd say I've always looked up to my big brother. The first thing I did when I got to Southern, I went to the head coach. I'm like, hey, I want a list of everybody's names and phone numbers on the team. And I got in touch with everybody on offense, all the receivers, running backs, and tight ends. And I said, I don't care what's going on. I'm going to be out on that field after workouts every day throwing. You guys can come out if you want. If not, I'll just work up on myself. I got a lot of responses on that, but just a way to just establish everybody's respect and trust, and just say, hey, I'm here to work. We're going to work for this, and we're going to be a good team. To come right out of the gate and just establish myself as a leader. That's what, in the eyes of the coaches and my teammates, kind of set me apart from the other quarterbacks, and got me the starting job as a junior. And then I kept that rolling through the following off season, and it led to a very successful senior season. In order to prepare my body for taking hits at the next level, as corny as this may sound, you got to treat your body like a temple. You know, when it comes to the NFL, you know, they're investing in a quarterback. So you know, there's only so many on your roster, maybe 2 or 3 at a time. So you definitely have to be smart. There's no going out. There's no eating fast food. You know, you got to you know, fulfill their investment. You got to make them, you know, believe that they made a good decision, and it just comes down to your training and work ethic. You know, how hard are you willing to work to, you know, get your body where it needs to be in shape, be able to, you know, accept and deliver those hits when needed.
And the favorite part, before I jump. Yeah.
When you see a quarterback run the ball and you know, lower his shoulder, just look at the reaction of his teammates on the sideline. You know, I've heard from, you know, fans, coaches, boosters, everybody. You know, when a quarterback's willing to put his body on the line, if it's a, you know, a 3rd and short, and he puts his shoulder down and gets the first down, you know, that gets everybody excited. If your teammates see a quarterback who's willing to, you know, put his body on the line for the team and go fight for extra yards, you know, they're looking at you as like, wow, we can rally behind this guy. And as a quarterback, that's what you need to do. You need to gain the trust and be a leader, and you know, set the tone for the rest of the team. A couple of my biggest assets in the passing game, number one being anticipation. You know, if you're prepared out there, then, you know, you can anticipate throws and throw guys open. You know, when they're having one-on-one matchup, if they're even, it's leaving. You know, having the ability to throw your guys open. They don't necessarily have to be wide open, able to anticipate those throws and, you know, fit the ball into tight windows. And then another big one of my assets is, you know, having the ability to throw on the run. You know, if something pocket breaks down or if somebody's not open, having that ability to extend the play and, you know, deliver a ball on time in the right spot on the run. Just from what I've heard from NFL scouts, I mean, obviously it's not something that, you know, will just take me out of the conversation, but my height, you know, only being 6'2" at tops, having scouts, you know, look at that. You know, you got quarterbacks like Brock Osweiler and these quarterbacks who are, you know, 6'7", 6'5", you know, a little standard taller in the pocket. You know, definitely gives them an advantage, but, you know, it's not something I can't work around. And then everything that I've heard from NFL scouts and whatnot is all, for quarterbacks, is all about footwork. You know, being able to, you know, be comfortable and be poised in the pocket, and just, you know, working in the pocket and be able to deliver the ball, you know, uncomfortably. So now, when you're looking at the training aspect of it, you know, there's a no tolerance policy kind of put in place where, you know, you're not skipping sets. You're pushing your body to the limit every single time. When your body wants to give up and quit, your mind's got to take over and say, hey, you know, we're rolling through this. We're going to finish this, and you just got to find a way to separate yourself from the others. What can you do better than everybody else? If everybody else is doing 9, you do 10.
Watch my tell you. 10-4. Get it on with it. Got me?
For my pro day, my expectations are, you know, I want to participate in everything. And, you know, being from a smaller school, you know, I don't have those, you know, predetermined, you know, stock ratings and, you know, draft stock and everything like that. So I need to find a way to differentiate myself. So, you know, I got to get to work and, you know, start training, definitely, you know, pursue my goals. But I want to stand out in every single category. That's just going to, you know, boost my chance of making it to the next level. So when you're talking about 40-yard dash, pro shuttle, agility, 60-yard shuttles, everything like that, you know, I want to be top of the charts. So, you know, that's what I'm going to be training for, and that's what I'm going to be working for.
Good. Let's go. Let's go. You see how you can stop? You see how you can stop coming around? 715. 715. Hit. Cover ground.